this wasn't how the story was supposed to start. Lewis Hamilton, draped in Ferrari red for the very first time at Monza, should have been the center of a fairy tale. The Temple of Speed, the Tifosi roaring his name, his car flying down those iconic straights as a symbol of the perfect marriage. Legend meets legacy. But instead, he landed with a thud, 5-place grid penalty before he even turned a wheel in Italy. No dramatic crash, no mechanical failure, just a yellow flag infringement from a previous race weekend at Zandvoort. Reconnaissance laps, not even real racing laps. And suddenly, his Monza debut with Ferrari was flipped on its head. And the weirdest part, he didn't even know about the penalty until he got back home. I landed back home and saw I got this penalty, he said, clearly blindsided. This wasn't some minor slap on the wrist either. The FIA threw down real punishment, grid drop, penalty points, all of it. And to Hamilton, it stung. He did lift off under yellow, sure, just not enough. That gray zone where racing meets rules is where this mess was born. Pretty hardcore, he called it, not once, but over and over. You could tell it got to him, not because it was unfair, but because it was petty. A judgment call that felt more like a jab. But instead of throwing a fit or playing victim, he did what champions do. He absorbed the hit and shifted gears. I learned from it, he said. No point winging about it. That sentence right there, that's why people still believe in him. See, this wasn't just any weekend. This was supposed to be the rebirth. Lewis finally in red, racing at Ferrari's spiritual home. A sea of red flags flares in the sky and chants echoing through the trees. The same Monza where Schumacher and Lauda became gods. Now Lewis was meant to add his name to that list, but instead he found himself starting from behind again. Qualifying is already brutal this season. Everyone's within a whisker of each other. And when you're already fighting for 10th, being pushed 5 spots back is a hammer blow. Still, there was no hint of panic, no woe is me. In fact, he looked sharper, leaner, hungrier, like the challenge had relit something inside him. It gives me more to fight for, he said, and you believed him. Not because it sounded good, but because he's been here before. People forget that before the 7 titles, before the world knew his name, Lewis Hamilton was just a kid fighting uphill. And Monza, with all its ghosts and glories, is the kind of place that can turn an uphill battle into a comeback story. But that doesn't mean things are easy. Far from it. This whole Ferrari chapter has been rough. No podiums yet, no champagne showers, just stats, cold and disappointing. He's 42 points behind Charles Leclerc, the golden boy of Maranello, and the whispers are getting louder. Did Ferrari make the right call? Has Lewis lost a step? Is this the final chapter? And then there's the body language. Former driver Robert Dornbos nailed it. The Hamilton we see now isn't the same guy who used to strut down the Mercedes paddock. Hoodie off, chest out, confidence glowing. He glides by on a scooter, head low, hoodie up, avoiding eye contact. He looks alone. Not defeated, just alone, like someone trying to figure things out quietly. But even in that solitude, one voice keeps cutting through the noise. Niki Lauda, the man who never coddled him, who told him to push harder, who didn't care about feelings, only results. Give 'em hell, Niki used to say. Crude, direct, honest, and those words still rattle around in Hamilton's head, especially now when the lights feel dimmer and the doubts creep in. Because Monza isn't just another race, it's a test. And Lewis, he's got everything to prove. He stood at the edge of the grid, eyes fixed on the sea of red. It was overwhelming. The chants, the smoke, the flares. It wasn't just support, it was worship. Ferrari fans didn't just cheer, they bled for this team. And now they were looking at him. Not Charles, not Carlos, him. Lewis Hamilton, the outsider who walked into their house wearing their colors. But it didn't feel like his house yet, not fully. Not while the results kept slipping through his fingers. He'd come here chasing more than just trophies. He wanted purpose, a new mountain to climb. Mercedes had been his fortress, but comfort wasn't what he was chasing anymore. And yet, this climb was brutal. The car was stubborn, the chemistry shaky, and the rhythm offbeat. Everything that once came naturally now required force. Adapting to a machine that refused to dance with you, it messes with your confidence. And confidence, that's what people don't understand. Even someone with 7 world titles isn't immune to doubt, especially when every corner feels like a question mark. Is it me? Is it the car? Is this what I signed up for? That quiet voice in the back of the mind starts to grow louder with every session that ends in mediocrity. Robert Dornbos didn't hold back. He looks isolated, bit lonely, disappointed with himself, he said, and he wasn't wrong. The fire's still there, but it's flickering under layers of frustration. Lewis has always been spiritual, always tapped into something deeper, but sometimes that inspection takes you to dark places. Places where even the greats start to wonder if their best days are behind them. And yet, if anyone knows how to dig himself out, it's him. The sprint win in China earlier this year was a flash of that old magic. For a moment, everything clicked. The aggression, the confidence, the hunger, it all roared back to life. But just as quickly as it arrived, it vanished. The momentum didn't carry. And now, it's been 15 races without a full Grand Prix podium. That's not just unusual, it's unacceptable by his standards. Still, there's a strange calm to him now. Not resignation, but a kind of patience, like someone biding his time, watching, learning, waiting for the opening. He knows better than anyone how fast narratives shift in this sport. One race can change everything. One drive through the chaos, one late lunge, one tire gamble, and Monza, it's the kind of track that invites madness. This weekend also hits different for another reason. It's been 50 years since Niki Lauda's first championship. Ferrari's celebrating the man who became more than just a racer, he became a symbol of resilience. And for Lewis, Niki wasn't just a colleague. He was a voice in his ear, a mirror held up to his potential. Mercedes might have been their shared chapter, but Niki's legacy stretches across both red and silver. To honor him here in Italy wearing red, that's not lost on Lewis. Still, history doesn't win races, cars do, and right now, the Ferrari doesn't look ready. Special liveries and commemorative kits might please the sponsors, but they won't outrun McLaren or Red Bull on pure pace. The setup feels shaky, the upgrades haven't delivered, and deep down, even the team knows this one's a stretch. But Lewis? He's unpredictable. Just when you think he's fading, he throws a punch you didn't see coming. And if there's ever a place to throw that punch, it's here, under these lights, before these fans. In a race that could define the beginning or the end of a dream. He tightened his gloves, helmet locked in place, visor down. The engine behind him roared, but inside the cockpit, it was silence. Not a peaceful silence, more like the heavy stillness before a storm, the kind where everything hangs on a knife's edge. This wasn't just another Sunday race. It was a verdict waiting to be delivered. The red lights went out. Hamilton launched forward, wheels spinning, instinct taking over. 5-place penalty or not, he wasn't driving like a man looking to recover ground. He was attacking. Every lap was a statement, every overtake a message. He wasn't here to participate, he was here to remind everyone who he was. The Monza straights are brutal, merciless even. If you're not in sync with your machine, they expose every flaw. But for the first time in weeks, the car seemed to listen. Not perfectly, not like the Mercedes once did, but enough. Enough to let Lewis find rhythm. Enough to let him breathe. He danced through Lesmo, carved through Ascari, and sent a shiver down the spines of anyone who thought he was done. The gap to the leaders didn't shrink dramatically, but it didn't matter. What mattered was presence. He was in the mirrors, in the minds, in the headlines forming in real time. The legend in red wasn't fading, he was glowing again. But Formula One doesn't reward effort alone. Strategy came into play. A slow pit stop stole precious seconds, tire degradation crept in, the podium drifted just out of reach. But even from P6, he wasn't deflated. He climbed out of the car like a fighter who went the distance. No win, no champagne, but a spark. The crowd knew it. They cheered not for the position, but for the fight. The old Lewis had shown up. Not the flawless, dominant one, but the scrappy, relentless one. And that version, That's the one that builds dynasties. Back in the garage, he pulled off his gloves slowly. His race engineer came over, gave him a nod. No celebration, but no disappointment either, just understanding, because what they all felt was bigger than a result. It was momentum. The kind you can't see on a scoreboard, but you feel it in the air. Reporters swarmed in the paddock. Questions came rapid fire. Do you think Ferrari is still the right move? Are you frustrated? Is the car letting you down? He smiled. Not a forced PR smile, but a tired, honest one. I'm here for a reason, he said. It's not always smooth, but I didn't come to cruise. I came to fight. And that's the thing. People forget that Hamilton didn't build his legacy in comfort. He built it in the rain, in controversy, in heartbreak. He knows pain. He knows comebacks. What he's living through right now, it's uncomfortable, but it's not unfamiliar. Back at the hotel, after the cameras were gone, he stood on the balcony for a moment, just staring at the Monza night. The circuit lights still flickered in the distance. Somewhere out there, the Tifosi were still singing, and somewhere in his mind, Nicky's voice still echoed. Give them hell. He wasn't done, not even close. The engine regulations change in 2026. Everyone knows that's the real reset, and Lewis, he's watching that horizon like a man chasing one last masterpiece. He didn't join Ferrari for nostalgia, he joined for legacy. And legacies aren't written in a day, or even in one season. They're carved over time, through the mud, through the mess, through races like Monza. So what happens next? Maybe the car catches up, maybe it doesn't, but Hamilton will be there. Hoodie up, head down, waiting for his shot, and when it comes, there won't be silence. There will be thunder.